Hey,
Hi,
everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Squarely Speaking podcast. I'm Diane Whiddon,
and I'm Katelyn Dekle.
and this is the podcast where we talk about website design and business strategy and all the real talk that you won't find in the FAQ. So today we are going to talk about trends, particularly trends that we think are upcoming for 2025. And we're going to start out by talking about how Katelyn and I feel about trends, because that's going to give a little context to the kind of episode we're going to have. So I will just start out by saying that this is such a unique topic for us because we came up with this and we were laughing when we came up with this topic because both Katelyn and I don't pay a lot of heed to trends. So do you want to, and we both have had our own branding adventures this year, which we're going to talk about later in the episode, but do you want to say a little bit, Katelyn, about like trends and what you think of them and how much you
Well,
care?
sneak peek in our notes here. It says 50% DGAF. I wrote this. I can't speak for Diane. 50% do GAF. So that's how I feel about it.
Exactly.
I'm a
I
little torn.
concur. So anything in particular, like what are the trends you do care about? What are the trends you don't? And I know we're going to get into stuff, but just anything.
No, it's just about strategy for me and like what's related to what I need the thing to do. I don't actually care if it's related to what's happening right now, what people prefer to look at. That's not the purpose for me.
Yeah. It's I've never really cared much about trends. I've never really cared much about following them. And for me, it's always been more of like an idea generating thing. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
let's see what the trends are
Yeah.
and see what may or may not work for this client or whatever. But then I learned a really interesting lesson earlier this year with my site and trends that we'll
Yeah.
talk about. But before we get there, let's actually dive into some really specific trends. We've done a bunch of research and we pulled up a bunch of sites for you guys. So let's start taking a look at some stuff. So first trend that we have up on the docket here. Let me share my screen. I'm so sorry this is always clunky, but we are still figuring this out. Okay, so first trend is full width banners. Okay, so let me double check here. Can you guys see? Yeah, you guys are
Yes.
seeing
Yes.
it. Okay, great. Okay, so full width banner. So this is a site that Katelyn did, and so there's a trend right now that the full width banners are kind of out, and I think it just really depends on how you do them. Technically, this is a full width banner, but the picture doesn't go all the way across. I kind of like how you have all the text and everything over here, and this is on the right. And I love the layering of the design. I love that you chose this as a background. I think this is brilliant. Thoughts on this one, Katelyn?
Yeah. I mean, generally, I've noticed a strategy for me. So in English, we read top to bottom, left to right. I'm almost always going to put the text in a header, like a hero, on the left side.
Yep.
Because it feels weird to me to put it on the right side. They don't see it first.
Yep.
So that's why. And then all the little pieces that just felt really good for her specific personality. She's really like bright and high energy, and that just felt like perfect for her.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to underline that point really quickly because I think that's an important design principle. Because when I was talking to Christy last week, she was saying about how some clients will say, oh, let's put my logo on the right-hand side because that's unique and different. But to Katelyn's point, people read top to bottom, left to right. So they generally start in the top left-hand corner and kind of move in a diagonal line down the site to the right-hand corner. So the
Mhm.
top right corner and the bottom left corner get missed. Unless you're really looking there. And so anyway, I just wanted to underline that because I thought that was a good point. Okay, let's go to your site real quick because your site actually is a true full width banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
I
it
don't know
is
what
what
else.
it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what else we want to say about this. I mean, it's a question of what does this look like? And then I think we have one more. Okay, so this one was interesting. So this technically is a full width banner, but it looks, because this is in a box. Let me find one of the ones that is not a full width banner. Did we not? Well, I guess we're gonna have to pull up my site anyway because, okay, so this technically is not a full width banner because we've only got a photo over here on the right and then the text and stuff here on the left. And there's more. I thought we came up with more stuff. This one is so interesting. What do you think? Is this full width banner or not?
I don't consider it that. No, it feels more like that kind of we'll talk about later, but like that more like pieced together collage-y kind of feel.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Okay, and so here's one that's full width. And this one's full width.
Mhm.
And this isn't her homepage. This is her
That
homepage.
is yeah, that's her homepage.
This is the homepage. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean,
And that's
full
the
width.
only one with the video.
I was gonna say, I think full width with a video still looks really modern
I have
and
to
current,
agree. Yeah,
right?
I have to
Yeah.
agree.
Okay. And this one, like you're saying, this one, even though it's full width, because she's got this background with the sections and she's got this tea towel here and then this box, it still has that kind of like layered look to it.
Mhm.
So anyway, kind of interesting. Okay, so I'm going to say stop screen share, and then let's look at the second trend, which is script fonts.
Yes. Okay. So that's me. Let me
So this is
pull
a
up.
funny trend because the script fonts have been so huge for a few years now, and some people are like, "Oh no, that's tired, it's over," and I'm like, I don't know that that's true. Okay, let me add you to the stage. I still think they add a lot of personality and like,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an accent font. It's not my main thing. It's just there when I need it to make it feel a little bit more personable. It brings
yeah,
in a little bit of authenticity. It's somewhat similar to the way I actually write, so it's just a personality thing for me. And I've done
yeah,
that with a few clients for the same reason, like this one.
yes,
And here it's a little bit different. We're using like an actual script font, not like a handwritten style,
yeah,
but that's specifically very strategically used. It's not happening a whole lot.
yeah,
Like here, and then same thing for this one. So, I mean, it could definitely be outdated at some point in the future, but I feel like right now it's just kind of helping give that little bit of authenticity to the person behind the screen.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. And what is our third one? You went through those really quick, and
Sidebar.
I haven't copied all of my links yet. I'm so sorry, you guys. We were trying to figure out what's the most seamless way because we were like, we really want to show you guys all these sites, and it was like, what's the easiest way to do that? So, um, okay. Oh, the next one is the sidebars. Oh, the sidebars are fun. Okay, so let me share my screen again. And Rogue Nerd says, love the channel. Thank you. I can just
Yes.
tell by your name you're one of our people. Belong here. Okay, so this is my cityscape template, and if we go to the blog, so for this template, I created a blog or a sidebar on the main blog page, so the individual posts don't have it, but there's this nice, pretty sidebar with just a little bit about the author, who she is, and then a room for some text, and then the main call to action for the freebie. And it only scrolls for as many, when she has posts here. And then you have a sidebar actually on your blog posts,
Mhm.
which I really like. And same kind of thing, a little bit about you, a search feature, which is a really good idea, popular posts. So main call to action, a really relevant call to action. If they're on the blog, chances are they're going to want to read more blogs. But I really like how you did this. Oh, and then you've got even more stuff. Look at all your stuff. And then you've got a freebie. Nice job on the sidebar. Good job. How did you do this? Did you do this with Square Kicker? You didn't. You did this with native Squarespace, right?
Yes and no. I'm using Omari's SQSP themes sidebar plugin. So it is a page in Squarespace that I designed to have those elements in it. And then it just puts that page on the right side or the left side of your actual blog posts.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. All right. So good to know. And then let's look at Cully James. Oh yeah, pretty. Oh, see, yeah, very, very cool.
And Show It seems to be a mix. Most Squarespace sites, no, the newer one, 7.1, they don't have native sidebar features. So it's not as common.
Mhm.
On a lot of Show It sites, it seems like 50% do, 50% don't.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a toss up.
And I don't think this is dated either. I know that I have heard people say that, oh, sidebars are out. And I'm like, I don't think they are. I mean, if anything, I kind of think they're making a comeback. And what a great way. Because if they're reading and they're kind of, you know how people skim everything nowadays and they're just kind
Mhm.
of scrolling quickly, this is eye catching. And if you're interested in Dubsado versus Honeybook or something, you know what I mean? I think,
That's the point. Yeah, like, I mean, I understand the general idea is that if you are
oops. Oh,
yeah,
here we go.
yeah. I understand if you're trying to keep them focused on the content, then yeah, sidebar is probably not a great idea. But it depends on what you have in there. If you've got sidebars with those like skyscraper ads where things are moving or making noise, that's very distracting. Yes.
Right?
But if they're not moving, then they're just available. And if you need to have quick access to like, I mean, in my business, I need to periodically put an ad there
Yeah.
or whatever. And I
Yes.
can do that with ConvertBox and just throw it in, and all of a sudden it shows up across my entire blog. So it's a strategy thing. Again, it's not, I don't care if it's not a trend. It serves a purpose for me and
If it's
hopefully for the
smart,
readers too.
right, right. If it's a smart thing to do. Now, I love this one. This is great. First of all, I love the pretty picture behind, but I didn't know you could build sidebars with Kit.
You can't. Again, same plugin, but I've just embedded it in the sidebar styled page, and then it squeezes it into the right or left side of the post, depending on
Oh,
how you set it up.
we're learning all the things.
Yeah. So I thought
Nice.
that was gonna be a good example to show that you can put a full page form into a sidebar, and it looks like that.
And it looks beautiful. I mean, beautiful image in the background and everything, totally branded and perfect call to action. Again, perfect call to action for the blog. And now look, don't miss a post.
Yeah. Now I think if you wanna keep your readers focused on the content, that's fine. But what I get irritated with is really long posts like mine, for example, which tend to be more than 3,000 words on average.
Mhm.
You'd have to scroll a lot to get to anything that's like additional call to action. And that's my problem. I was just on Jenna Kutcher's blog earlier today, and same deal. I was like, okay, well, where's her stuff? Because she doesn't have a blog any or sidebar on her blog post anymore either, I don't think. And so I was like, I got to scroll all the way to the bottom to see what's next, like what's popular. And on a long post, that's a long way to scroll to find any of that stuff. So I think sidebars are relevant still.
Right? Yeah, I really do too. I like that. Okay. Did you pull up the movement posts while we were talking?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Um,
good job.
I don't know about the Beyond the Dream board one. So you might have to. Oh, that's a
Oh,
split. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I got it.
okay, yeah. If you go to books, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll do share again. And
I'm so proud of that page. That was the first time I used that effect, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." Oh, sorry. Let me add you to the stage. Okay, yeah.
yeah. So on this one, I have sort of a movement on the back. This is actually a built-in native feature of Squarespace, so that's not coded in or anything. And
Mhm.
then this is just a gallery that's cycling through 3 different PNGs of me, so that's not anything fancy either. And then this down here is Square Kicker. It's moving on hover. And this is a marquee down here, so it's slowly kind of scrolling past in the background.
And I
Uh,
just wanna stop on that really quickly because I love how it's blurry. I've never seen anyone use that effect. I was always like, "Why can you make this?" Because it's a native feature in Squarespace. It's that
yep,
scroll in Squarespace. And I'm like, "Why would you want it blurry?" But this is why you'd want it blurry. Super
yep.
cool.
Subtle
Subliminal
hint.
advertising. Yes, subliminal.
Yeah,
It's right
yeah,
in there. Yeah, very cool effect.
yeah. And then down here, I have slightly like a moving in kind of thing.
Mhm.
So a little bit sprinkled throughout, but nothing seriously. This is really cool though.
I love this one. So this is one of Jen Maher's templates in the Square Kicker store, and I just thought this was so fun how she made this. It's supposed to be like a fun bar on the beach. This is how she kind of modeled it, and she has all these cool, look at it flying.
I know, it just keeps coming.
It's so fun. Look at her. That's her on the beach. That's her vacationing. I'm like, those are good pictures. So fun. And this was the thing that really got me about this site was the turtles are swimming. What? And it's very subtle, but if you can see it, and again, this is a native Squarespace feature where you can make the background kind of, you put an image back there, and then you can make it kind of ripple. And I've seen people do it with water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like an ocean image or something. But to do it with the turtles or tortoises, I think those are tortoises. I just,
Sure.
so cute. So cute.
Yeah. No, that was one of my favorites. I really liked that kind of coming together thing.
Yeah.
And then on this one, you had a split screen. This is one of your client websites, right?
Yeah.
And that's really well done.
Yeah, I really like that. So her new book is at the top, the new release, but then the others scroll past her, as in a sticky split. And that's a square kicker effect. But I just thought that was so
really
cool.
Yeah, really good use of that.
And I think that's the key about animation, and we didn't say this because I think it feels obvious to us, but I think this is the important part, is animation for animation's sake is never a good idea. But if you're making things move or change or whatever in a way that emphasizes the content or enhances the user experience, or hopefully both, then you're creating a much better experience for the user.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have to say smart things because I did not copy because I was too busy having fun looking at all the pretty things. So give me 1 second to copy and paste some of the links.
Smart things. Okay, so first I'll say on the services, what we're talking about here is like a traditional trio of services where you have like small, medium, large, or best value, most popular, and then like the low ticket option or whatever. 3 different things to choose from. There's seemingly a push and pull between, should we still do the long scroll services page, or should we just list what we have and let people pick? I'm torn. So we have some options to show you. So you can kind of see what's happening right now, and then I can give you my thoughts on what I may or may not change about mine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you're well, and we both are actually kind of considering this. Okay, so let's start with Shanna's site, because this has if you're not quite sure what we're talking about, if we scroll down, and her site's just beautiful. But this is kind of what we're talking about, the 3, what did I call this in the notes? The 3-pack.
Yeah.
The 3-pack. This is like on the homepage somewhere, maybe even on the services page, just these 3 things side by side. And this, especially when it's a custom with like pricing and the name and that stuff, I mean, it's been done. It's every site for like 10 years had this, because it's helpful to the user to see your things side by side. But I think, and so I don't think, and I actually dropped this because somebody earlier in the year said, this is out, this is not cool. And so I took it off my site, and I regret it because I actually think it makes, I'll pull up my site actually, and we can see, I actually think it makes my site more confusing. So I have the benefits up here, which is a little too long. Don't copy what I did. And then here's my first service. Here's my second. Here's my third. And that's a lot. And then here's a random service. That's a lot of scrolling to do for somebody to get this picture of like everything of what you do. So I think the key for this in particular is, how do you do this in a way that looks more modern and doesn't look dated? And I think, so this is specifically what I pulled together some of these examples for. I love how she did this here. So with the overlapping section, and then how it's all in a content box that's kind of pulled out, I think this actually looks really updated and really nice. And then, but in contrast, we'll look at this template is amazing. So that is creative. So yeah, this is one of Michael's templates in the Square Kicker store. And I mean, there's just so much here that's just absolutely mind-blowing that he's done. And the thing is, he loves the symmetry. He loves things for things to be aligned and centered and everything, but he always makes it look modern. So I wouldn't even say that I mean, this is like even just this, like, how did he do that? But where was the three things that, oh, this. So, right. So he's got the three things here. And again, there's like the pricing cards and everything. So we get a really good sense of what this business is offering in terms of services and scale and scope and all that stuff. I think this is still really effective. And technically, this is the quote unquote dated look. It's all in a line. It all looks, but I just think the way that he's done it and the way he's put it together for this site just looks amazing.
I think he's actually a good example. I just thought about that from that Kittle video we were watching a bit back,
Mm-hmm.
where he was talking about the bento grids being popular.
Yes.
This template does that. I just noticed when you were scrolling through. I was like, actually, that's a great example of that.
It is. Yes, he really does sort of that bent. Yeah. So this is
Right
like
here.
that bento box.
Yes.
Yeah. And like how the bento box effect is a good way to organize a lot of different kind of information, especially for your clients. And here he just uses it to show different facets of the product, which yeah, I think is genius as well as
And if you don't know what the bento grid is, it's sort of akin to like a lunch tray, where like each part of the tray can have a different kind of food in it,
yeah.
but it's all organized and none of the food's touching each other. And same concept here. None of the designs touching each other. The design's organized, but you can have a lot of things in a little space.
Yeah. 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 Very cool. Very cool. And then let me run through this one. I think she had the three. Yeah. 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 I'm like, this is just so helpful. Again, with what you were saying, the point of like, who cares if this is dated? It works.
Yeah. When it stops working, then I'll be noting what's working instead.
Right? Now,
Yeah.
I did like this. So the reason I set aside this page is I like how you put the different, like it's really clear these are different things, and then we can click on them to learn more. But I thought this was a really fun alternative to that, and still really elegant and beautifully designed. And then yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk about yours. And
So this is kind of both. It's a long scroll sales page technically, and then at the pricing packages area, I do have the 3. So I don't know if I'm going to be A/B testing to see if
next off effect. Oh, look at you. Oh, different for each one. Nicely done. Cute.
Yeah, so I did try to compartmentalize so that they can see what's most relevant for them, and all the information is there, but it's not all in their face at that moment.
Mhm.
So I mean, I did try really hard to condense as much as I could, but also you got to scroll for a while to get there.
Mhm.
And so I'm not really sure what would work better. So I'm kind of entertaining the thought of doing like an A/B test, making a new one and rerouting everything to that page instead for a while to see how that does. And if it does better, then I might switch. If it doesn't, I'll leave it alone.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Very cool. And then here you have all your general info, and yeah, it's tough. For a web design site, it's tough because there's so much information we're trying to get clients to understand and answer their questions before they contact us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very fun. Very fun. Yeah. So again, I mean, it's another quote unquote trend that I'm like, I don't think this is going anywhere. It works. I think it's just a matter of doing it in a way that looks kind of updated and looks kind of modern. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 3-pack works for a reason, right? We've dove into the whole like pricing strategy thing. This was a rabbit hole we went down this year.
Yeah.
So if we talk about really briefly the reason why the 3 thing works, it's like you have something to anchor to.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you have something that's maybe really expensive, and then next you have something that's less expensive, and then at the end you have something that's really cheap by comparison. And
Mhm.
that kind of gives them a way to make a better decision for themselves based on what's available.
Mhm.
And so that's the reason why the 3-pack works, in my opinion.
No, I agree. 100%. All right.
All
You're up
right.
for our
I was
next
going to
trend,
say, is it my turn? All right.
text as design elements,
Okay.
which is one of my favorite effects. I love this. Oh no. Oh no, blurry. Sorry. Blurry.
Yep. Yep. We're on blurry, abstract, double exposure, reflections, basically anything that looks like anti-stock images.
Yeah, that's what we literally have in our notes is
Yes.
anti-stock. Yeah.
Anti-stock. So Nikki Fanshawe, this is her website. I've been following her for a while. She's really good. Actually, this is another good example of that bento grid.
Oh, it sure is. Oh, look. Yeah. And she's
Mm,
got images and then text in some. Oh, yeah, very fun.
yeah. So this is a great example of that kind of abstract, it's like accidental but on purpose
Mhm.
style of stock. That's her though, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
in the photo. Yeah. Does she do it again on this page, or is it just that one at the top?
I
It's pretty
think it's just
minimal.
that one at the top, but I just wanna point out, like, look at some of these other photos of her. They're not, and this is the point, I think. They're not that, like, look at that one where she's intentionally cut off the top part of her face. And
Mhm.
then we've got a little movement there, which I think is very subtle and very cool. That's another, like, I hate it when the movement's overwhelming, and if the all 3 or if the main one was moving, it'd be too
Right.
much. But scroll down even a little bit more, like, the it's just we're seeing a break from the picture perfect, um, images, both in portraits and also in the sort of stock and decorative images that we're using on a site. Keep going. There was one more of her. Well, and this is kind of stocky, but even this one, like,
Mhm.
we're just looking at her chest. Why don't, it's weird, but I'm down for it.
Yeah.
It's just, and images. So images that are slightly out of focus and blurry and things like that.
Yeah, and these are a bit grainy.
And grainy, yes, that's another technique I'm seeing a ton of right now.
Yeah, I think that's really well done.
Yeah.
Here's this one. You wanna talk about yours?
Yeah, so that's the only one. This image here is the only one where you can see this. This is an AI image, obviously. This is not me sitting in Chicago wearing a suit. I would never. But sweatpants maybe, but
Wink, wink.
right. But so I made this one, and then if you go to my services page, actually there are a bunch of them where I really went nuts with this effect. This is my favorite trend, is
Which
this blurry. Sorry, web design. Yeah.
okay.
So all of these you can see have a blurry element in them, either blurry or double exposure. Not that one quite on the left, but again, it's not a typical portrait photo. And if
Mhm.
you keep scrolling, oh, that's a more typical stock photo. But then if you keep scrolling, I mixed a lot of these like blurry, yeah,
Yeah.
out of focus or really shallow depth of field photos in. And
But
I
you've
love
got,
that.
like, the shadowy, flowers right in front, and so that's unusual. Usually, that would not, because that could be accidental, but it's, like, accidental on purpose.
Right, 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 right.
That's a little blurry.
Mhm. Yeah, super shallow depth of field, and then that's just
Mhm.
for my AI photo shoots. But yeah, I really like this trend a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing with it in some client sites and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
I think those are really well done too.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Oh, and that's it? Okay,
Yep,
awesome.
yep. Your the 3rd link was the page we just went to.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Okay, so our next trend is text as a design element, and I have pulled these up, and there are a couple really cool ones that I thought I like this trend a lot too.
Yeah. I'm a big typography nerd, so that makes me happy.
Yes, yes, yes. I really liked how this is your San Francisco template in the Square Kicker store, and I really liked how you did this with the big, like all the way to the edges with the interior design, and there were just some really fun uses. And I think you did that on most of the pages. And I liked this. I liked the just like because in these uh, um, examples, the text is almost a graphic element.
Yes.
And I think that's fun because we can get too focused on copy, and then um, we sort of miss like how to use, like, look how cool that is, and it's layered in with the boxes and everything.
Mhm.
I think it's a really fun effect. And then Paige did the coolest thing ever. I love this on her site. I'm so gonna steal this. I'm so stealing. I haven't seen this anywhere else. I love it. So she has these cool effects where if you can just barely see it, where it looks like it's embossed, like so rather than just be a plain background, because if without this is just a plain background, and it's like, okay, well, that's so 2006, but now we've put in the little emboss, and it's like, oh, that's kind of fun. And then when you scroll, She's hilarious, by the way. I love this. I love this example, this video of her living her best life. So much fun. But look, on the paper, embossed lettering on the paper.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. I'm obsessed with this. I'm so jealous because I would mix this in with some of the grungy, scrapbooky stuff that we're going to talk about next. But I just love that. I just thought that was bomb.
So the next one is hamburger menu, mega menu.
Ugh, yeah.
Not going to spend too much time on that. We all kind of know what that means, but as an example, Jenna Kutcher's site has that hamburger menu, but she also has a main menu. I don't know. I feel a little overwhelmed by so many options.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
I don't know. I have so many mixed feelings about the mega menu because I'm like, if it's important enough to feature, why are you burying it behind a click? I think the user experience is annoying, especially if the only menu you have is the hamburger menu. What are you doing? But like in her case, I think I would like it better. I love that she has the menu at the top. It's very clear. You can navigate it. And I'm sure she's really interested in my opinion of her website. She's super successful, and her website has been one that people have looked at for years, even in her prior design. So, but in terms of what you're saying of being overwhelmed, I think I would like the mega menu better if when you clicked on it, it was just featuring one thing. So like instead of echoing the menu all over again, which I don't understand the point of that, it was just maybe emphasizing her podcast or a freebie or something like that. In that case, I think it might be useful. Otherwise, I don't really get it.
That's a good point. And I guess so yes, I agree. That's a really good point. I hadn't really looked at what the links actually were in here, and if they're not exactly the same, they're damn close.
Yeah.
But the thing that I got stuck on was like from here, aren't we all taught like main call to action? What's the highest risk thing that they need to do so in that case, would that be buying her most expensive course? And if so, where is the emphasis on that? And so I'm curious if this is working. I mean, her audience is so big that probably doesn't matter, but I'm just curious, like, what is the action most people take from this screen?
That would be the thing that I'm wondering too. Like when I feel like you're saying what we're all taught, I feel like when I'm looking at somebody's banner image, I want to know what they want to accomplish in their business. Not only how it's going to benefit me, but I want to know like kind of where they're going, like as a web designer. And I don't know what she's trying to emphasize here. Like I would have asked her, like, look, what's your number one goal in your business? Do you want to keep growing the podcast? Do you want to, I think she started a YouTube channel recently. Like, what are you wanting to do? And then let's maybe feature that here or put a call to action to accomplish that here. What's the second section look like?
It's everything.
Like stories, I've got a good one. Okay, so just because we have a tiny bit of time, click on that. Let's see where that goes. See, and what we're exploring now is the navigation, because obviously that's what's important.
We'd have the scrapbook effect over here. That's really done nicely.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. I like
that. Looks like her about page. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I love that.
The picture of her?
Yes. That creates an immediate connection, I have to say.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like if you get to see baby pictures of somebody, you probably know them fairly well.
Right? For sure. Okay, so this has to be more than her about page. This has to be leading us somewhere. What's she trying to get us to do here? Oh,
I've done this with a client before, inspired by this area. I'm glad to see she's still doing that. It's really fun.
Oh, okay. Is this just her about page?
It says meet Jenna in the URL, so I'm guessing.
Oh, interesting.
The whole team.
I mean, I always say that the about page is where you do the most selling. but it's an interesting call to send somebody there first from your site. And now we're getting into calls to action.
Well, now we're at the bottom. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. So blog, book, what's that? What's my favorite things? Is that a blog post?
I bet that's affiliate links.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So main call to action sends them to the about page where they get to know her, probably fall in love with her because baby pictures. And then the 3 calls to actions, ones were pretty low call to action, affiliate links, so tools and resources, right? Second one is blog posts, so not very high risk either. And then buy my book, which is also not very high risk. But if she's trying to drive book sales or whatever. Interesting.
Take the quiz and then freebies. So yeah, you're right. About, and then freebies, and then podcast, and then blog, and then book, and then courses. So her most high risk thing is near the bottom.
Yeah. So that tells us a lot about what's her priority in her business right now, right? So she's not really interested in, she's not as, I'm making assumptions, but she's not as interested in selling courses as she is in driving book sales.
I'm guessing that's probably because her audience is so enormous that she has to build the know, like, trust first before they will spend whatever these cost.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And so it's just get them in the funnel first. Yeah. I agree. How fun.
Interesting how that kind of reversed itself from the people who, like ourselves, who have smaller audiences and the people like her who has a mega audience, and it's literally flipped on its head.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So our next trend that we wrote down is icons. And we have a comment if we want to, before we dive into icons. When I go on her page, I get a huge CTA for a mini course on the tip top. Okay.
She did, and I kind of ignored that because I figured it was temporary, but yeah, that's probably getting people into her funnel too.
Yep. Very cool. Good to know. Because if there was any kind of pop-up, you and I would have just clicked past it and kept going. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so icons. What do you think? Dated?
Well, our first note is go away. So
that's what we put in our notes for this episode. Yeah. They feel a little dated, particularly if they look like how they used to look, with just a little outline and very symmetric, kind of boxy, and the whole, they just feel kind of, especially because you can make your own in Midjourney now,
Yeah. I mean, I think there are some instances where they're still done pretty well. Like, for example, the Square Kicker site, where they go into the template store. Maybe I can pull that up really quick. They have 12 or so points for why you should use their templates. And they have little icons next to little descriptions that work really well, I think. And I investigated that because I wanted to know what exactly they were doing to achieve that on Squarespace, and whether that was tiny little image boxes and tiny little text boxes all in the Fluid Engine thing. And that just seemed like a nightmare to manage. So there it is. Okay. So we go back, share my screen so you guys can see that too. Here we go. So we've got very easy to read. Like, this does not feel quite so dated to me because it's not about the icon. That's just helping you absorb a large amount of information. I think the things that I'm thinking of that are outdated are like, these are my 3 services, and there's like a little icon for service number 1, and there's an icon for service. We're only looking at 3 different things. We don't need icons to absorb it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference.
I will say this, and not to diss Square Kicker because we both love them, obviously.
Right.
You make a really good point, because you don't want icons to be overwhelming, and especially in this case where you really want them to be, they're just kind of delineating different points, and but I still, that boxy defined line, very, it just looks very like, I don't know, Microsoft Word from 20 years ago. It's just, I think that they, especially with how creative they are, I think they could come up with something else that's not distracting, but is just a little more dynamic looking, a little better branded to them. And just, I think it's, yeah.
Yeah. I do agree. The style is maybe a little outdated, but I appreciate the reason why they did it enough that I
Yeah.
don't actually care about the fact that it might be slightly outdated looking because all I need to do is look at the icon to find the thing. If does the template do this thing? And I'm looking at the graphics, not the text. If it didn't have any of the graphics here, I don't know that I would actually read any of that. Would you?
Yeah, it makes no, I agree. I agree. I have a thing on my homepage where I've got like 6 or 8 things, and every time I look at it, it's one of those things that's been on my to-do list for forever. And like, I need something to break that up because it's just this wall of text, and I'm like, nobody's
Mhm.
gonna read. It doesn't matter what I bold or put in italics, nobody's gonna read that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I'm curious if like okay, so if this were our website, what would we do to make it a little bit more modern? What
I
would
would mess with their colors are so vibrant. Scroll the page. So let's look for some design elements. Yeah,
you wanna start
let's
from the top?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
See, I mean, there's a little green, yellow thing right there,
Mhm.
and then what's in the background? Are those gray, purple blobs too?
Mhm.
I mean, that was my first thing that I was thinking is I would make them be little circles with little, like, gradients or that one thing we saw in that Kittle video too, where it's, like, the blobs, it's, like, these gradient
Yeah.
blobs. I would do something like that for just a little tiny little circle, well-defined circle,
Mhm.
for each one of those. Now, then it's not customized. You don't have a heart for dedicated support and the responsive design sizing thing, and
I
it wouldn't
actually
make
think you
sense.
could combine them, put these graphics into the bubbles, and then you'd have the consistency of the circle, but you'd still have the graphic.
And there you go. We
Yeah.
have solved it.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Square Kicker. That's
And
it.
you could even color code them. So if certain things fall into the same category, they could all have the same background color, and
Yes.
then you know what to look for really quickly.
Yes.
It's all about how you can get people to scroll through the details in the data and
Yeah.
find what's relevant for them, honestly.
Yeah. Without being overwhelmed and by in a way that they can find what they're looking for. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So
okay.
fun. Yay.
So,
Okay.
I guess icons aren't completely out, but they need to be handled with care, I guess is
Oh,
our
I like that. Yes, I like
okay.
that. I like that. Okay. And our next one is style. So like scrapbook, grunge. And I want to see what you found here because this is where I kind of fell off yesterday. Okay. Oh, fun. Oh, this is fun. Scrapbooky, sketchy. This is fun. Is this one of your sites?
Yeah.
I was gonna say this got the Katelyn vibe. Oh, and look at the man, I'm in love. I am so in love with this grungy thing. I miss this trend so much. Oh, I'm very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Good
Yeah.
use of layering. The and you made this off center too.
Yeah.
Nice. I think this is something that a lot of junior designers forget. I still feel like I forget sometimes is like that you have the creativity to layer, even if you're working with a site that's primarily photos,
Mhm.
you can layer illustrations and graphics and stuff. It's a more maximalist approach, but
Yeah.
I think it really works. And
Yeah,
I like
and
the
that
little
that
lines and stuff.
scrapbooky kind of doodly thing at the bottom, that is little if you know anything about her, she's from Florida, so we have the Florida thing, and then we have the orange thing, and then she's mountain huge into mountain biking. So we've got the bike, we've got the beer, we've got the records, like, it's all about her. So that's, like, her in a nutshell, just with the doodles. It's kinda serving multiple
Oh,
purposes there.
fun, well done. And again, I mean, that the where the design elements are really because this is the high Amana section. It makes sense
Mhm.
here. Love that. Love that. Okay, so let's look at this one. Oh, fun.
So,
Ah,
this is an interesting one. This is one of those situations where she really needed 2 separate websites for 2 different functions. She has
hmm,
her by herself and then her with other people performing.
mm,
And so it's like from the get-go, we need to figure out where we're sending people for, like, what are they looking for? Just a solo performance or a duo performance, trio, whatever.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I like the way you did the graphics and stuff on this too. And then of course, this is just one of my favorite sites of all time because I talk about this site all the time because I again talk about maximalist, but very beautifully done. I love the illustration layered with the objects, layered with the photos. Just really artful approach. I mean, that's just gorgeous.
Yeah. We're doing a bit of that kind of doodly thing in the background on Anna's site in the middle, that second one on her about page, I think. So we've got some of that like layering happening there too. And it's still in that kind of maximal, like there's a lot going on in there.
But I think we're going to see more. Oh, and then you've got the scrapbooky thing. And this is what's coming. I think we're going to see more and more of this because I think as the sort of elegant, streamlined beige thing goes out, although did you see that, Pantone's color of the year is beige?
No. I mean, I did know that they picked a color, but I didn't know what color they picked. That's hilarious. They're a little late.
They're calling it mocha, and they have this whole reasoning behind it. It's like very cozy and it's very like nurturing and it's this whole thing, but like it's beige, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? It's like,
I mean, arguably we need that right now, I guess, but the cozy vibe and the comfortable and the warmth and yeah, for sure. Okay, I'll take it, but I'm not going back to all beige websites anytime soon.
I know. I think the maximalist is really going to come on pretty strong. I think people are ready for color. I think people are ready for more design elements. I think people are ready for fun. You know, we talked about that a little bit in prepping for this video of like the little clickable elements and having fun design elements and things like that, you know, people enjoy that. There's like an aesthetically pleasing thing that happens when things kind of like move and are happy and are, you know, enjoyable and pleasurable as they work their way through a site. And I think there's more of that coming.
Yeah, I think part of it too, I was wondering that as you're speaking, do you think that's related to the fact that the different platforms are more capable now? Like you couldn't do scrapbooky styles as easily in platforms like Squarespace 2+ years ago or more.
You know, you could. Here's what I would say about that, because when I redid my site years and years ago in the grungy thing, it was very layered, but it was all one image. That was how you had to do it. And now like you can actually use different images, and then you have a lot more flexibility with how you move them around, which is necessary because you have to be able to move things around if you're going to make it look good on mobile, which again was not something you really worried about like 12, 15 years ago. But yeah, I just think it's the streamlined. I think we're tired of gray on our walls and like, you know, white everywhere and like everyone wearing ivory and, you know, ivory sweaters and the whole camel shoes. And I think it's because that was a real trend for a while of like, this looks professional and elegant, and it does. There's no arguing that. I still think that the sites
White
are built
and
up.
bright and airy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. People are ready for more color, more vivid, more texture, you know, more
Authenticity, I think.
Oh, I like that. There you go. That's fun. That's
I
fun.
mean, that's what I equate it to. It's like if it's a scrapbook, it means somebody sat down and they spent their time and energy like putting all these pieces together in a way that makes them happy, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not the same vibe if you do that the other way. The structure, like the editorial thing, I think that's where it is. It's like we got tired of the perfectly structured editorial vibe where like everything is in a box. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not sure the bento grid thing is a new trend. It has its place, but I think people are a little tired of seeing that like super compartmentalized. Everything has a box and everything has its place. And now they're just like, word vomit, like put it everywhere.
Right.
Make it
Graphic
feel real.
explosion. Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody's kitchen looks like that all the time. Nobody's office looks like that all the time. Yeah, I think that's where it's coming from. It just kind of like we were during COVID, we were all home, we were doing our thing. And I don't know, I think that realness was like, oh, yeah, that's nice. I would like a little bit more of that.
Yes. Yes. A little more mess, a little more humanity, a little
Mhm.
more. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
that. Very fun.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, right. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
However that develops. Well, I would say so. We've got about 8 minutes left. I would say because we were going to talk about our sort of journeys with our brands this year, but I feel like we don't have enough time left to give that justice. So we might actually do that in January. So let's move on to talk about next year and kind of what we have planned.
Mhm.
So, Katelyn and I have spent some time planning our next year. We're really excited, and we just wanted to tell you about it a little bit. Yeah, we're really excited about what we can do with this. So we're very geeky, and we embrace that, and we invite you to be geeky with us. We got really excited talking about podcast topics because we're going to do like a whole topic, one whole episode just on color. I'm very excited about that. We're going to do another
I'm
one just on.
excited about that too.
Right? We're
Yeah.
gonna do another one just on fonts. We're just gonna dive in and get really, really geeky about fonts and what works and what doesn't, and how to use them on sites and what complements, how to use them in a way that complements user experience and get things done, because of course that's our passion. And then like, it's just we're so excited. And we're gonna talk about like sales funnels and like intake processes and how to use your forms in a way that you can like really maximize discovery calls and get the most out of discovery calls and like get more clients and all kinds of stuff. Processes like client funnels once they're in your business. And we're really, really excited about what we have coming. We're going to do one a month. Please let us know in the comments or anywhere. Let us know if there's a particular topic that you want us to cover. We're super open to ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to say? Oh, and I'll say our episode in January is going to be about us and our journeys. And I imagine that's when we can also dive into our branding snafus this year.
Yeah. I would say that is probably a pretty good fit for that conversation.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty funny too, because we both learned some really interesting lessons. I mean, it's a really interesting, especially when you kind of feel like you know what you're doing, but then you have a total brand like snafu, and you kind of
Mhm.
like have to pivot or change, which is what happened to me. Not really what happened to Katelyn, but what happened to me, and it was kind of interesting what I learned from that. So we'll talk about that in January. Yeah, and other thoughts, Katelyn?
No, I'm just really excited. I think we've got through August. Is that when we stopped? So we've got like
Mhm.
one a month planned through. Yeah. So we've got a lot and we just keep getting ideas. But that doesn't mean we don't want your ideas. So you got to tell us what you're interested in, what you gravitate towards. And we definitely want to touch on topics that are really not being discussed on the same level in other places. So yeah, if you can think of something that you've been, like, mulling over and you don't really hear much about, I'd love to know about it.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And we're very interested. The reason that we started this, and we'll talk more about this in January, but the reason we started this is because we want to get geeky and we want to talk with other designers who are doing things at the level and depth that we're doing them at. So this channel is kind of going to be aimed at like intermediate-ish, kind of beginner, but kind of intermediate-ish designers, because like I said, we're going to be getting geeky about talk for a whole hour about colors. I don't know that a beginner web designer is going to be interested in that, but if you are, join us. You're going to have a blast. Um, but we're really interested in things that are going to help you improve your designs, or things that might be just fun and entertaining for you, but also things that are going to help you grow your business, because we
Yep.
both really love this industry and we love what we do, and we want to help you be really successful too. And so, yeah, any burning questions you have, please let us know, and we'll make sure we get them on the roster.
Cool. Yeah, agreed.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so really quick, so I'll say one more last thing. So if you're here for me on my channel, and you're wondering what I'm doing next week, I am not doing one next week because we are at the end of season 1. I will be starting up again weekly interviews with people in February. In the meantime, Katelyn and I are going to keep doing our once a month thing, and then I will start doing weekly episodes, weekly interviews with web design rock stars in February for season 2. So stay tuned for that. And Lenore says, yes, bring the color. Looking forward to all of it. Thanks.
Oh,
Awesome.
good. Yeah, we're going to dig in. You're going to learn lots of things.
Yes, you're our people. Welcome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. This was fantastic. And Katelyn, thank you for doing this with me. This is such a fun project.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, everyone, we will see you next year.
Yes.